people who are watching on YouTube regularly, interestingly enough. YouTube is such a dump, such a dangerous place, but there are people out there who are choosing the right content. Okay, we're live. Hare Krishna YouTubers. Good morning, this is morning class. Prahlad will be joining shortly. He's in the cab now. Okay, so there was one girl. What's her name? I forget her name. It's one of the early disciples of Srila Prabhupada. And she had a child. And she was taking care of the baby. And she wasn't able to do as much direct service as she used to. And then somebody came to her, another devotee came up to her and said, you know what Srila Prabhupada said? You were lazy. And this devotee got discouraged big time. She started crying. It took her several days to process this, digest this. And then she came to Prabhupada and said, Prabhupada, this devotee told me that you said I was lazy. And Srila Prabhupada said, Srila Prabhupada smiled. He gave her a big smile. And this devotee said, I didn't expect it a smile because it wasn't a light issue for me. It was a big deal for me. And Srila Prabhupada gave me a big smile. He leaned back and gave a big smile. And then Prabhupada asked her, so, are you reading my books? And she said, one thing a mother can do is read. You can read. When the baby is napping or something, you can read. And then I said, yes, Srila Prabhupada, I read your books. And Srila Prabhupada said, then you were doing service to me. So when we give our attention to Srila Prabhupada, we're doing service. So if you ever think you're not enough or you're lazy, if you're giving your attention to Srila Prabhupada and his writings, this is service. So thank you very much, dear devotees, for your service of coming here and giving your attention to Shri Prahlad Prabhu, who teleported to the temple room quickly from the cab. Shri Prahlad Prabhu, good morning. Thank you for your association. Thank you very much. I haven't started reading the verses because they have your name. The very first verse today has your name, so I didn't dare to read. I'm leaving it for you, Prabhu. So the floor is now yours. We're live on YouTube. Hare Krishna.
Let's refresh.
And they disappeared. We don't. Oh, there it is. Let me spotlight Shri Prabhupada. All right. I can't hear you, Shri Prabhupada. Manoharji, come to the rescue. I see Amrita Kishori smiling. I hear a voice from the sky. Akashvani.
Can you make him co-host as well?
Okay. Okay, we see the verses, but we can't hear. Shri Prahlad Prabhu, I think you're still muted. In the meantime, good morning to Stephanie Spinner. Hare Krishna.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Jai.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Today we are discussing Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 63, verses 35 and 36. I'll just chant the Sanskrit myself. Nabir Nabhagir Mukam Amburetro.
Shri Prahlad Prabhu, I'm so sorry. It's 47 through 53.
Okay. So that is a miscommunication. 47 to 53. Yeah, I was surprised that you were saying my name was there.
The name is you'll see.
Okay. Okay. 10:63:47. Abadyoyam mamapyesha vairochani sutosura prahladya varodato nabadyo me tabanvaya. I will not kill this demoniac son of Vairochani, for I gave Prahlad Maharaj the benediction that I would not kill any of his descendants. Text 48. Darapo pasamayanasya pravrikna bahavo maya suritam cha balam buhri yachcha bhadayitam bhuva. It was to subdue Banasura's false pride that I severed his arms, and I slew his mighty army, because it had become a burden upon the earth. Text 49. Chatvarosya bhuja shista bhavisyatya mara parsada mukyo bhavato na kutaschid bhuyo sura. This demon, who still has 4 arms, will be immune to old age and death, and he will serve as one of your principal attendants. Thus he will have nothing to fear on any account. So what was the range? Am I reading until we get a purport here, Ananda? 53, I think you said, yeah? Iti labva bhayang krishnam pranam vyasira sasura pradyumnim ratham aropya savadbho samupanayat. Thus, attaining freedom from fear, Banasura offered his obeisances to Lord Krishna by touching his head to the ground. Bana then seated Aniruddha and his bride on their chariot and brought them before the Lord. Text 51. Akshohinya parivritam suvasa samalankritam sapatnikam puraskritya yayo rudranu modita. At the front of the party, Lord Krishna then placed Aniruddha and his bride, both beautifully adorned with fine clothes and ornaments, and surrounded them with a full military division. Thus Lord Krishna took his leave of Lord Shiva and departed. Text 52. Svarajhanim samalankritam dvijay Satoranar ukshitamarga chatvaram vivesha sankhanka dandhubi svanair adyudyata porasurid dvachidhi. The Lord then entered his capital. The city was lavishly decorated with flags and victory arches, and its avenues and crossways were all sprinkled with water. As conch shells, anakas, and dundubi drums resounded, the Lord's relatives, the brahmanas, and the general populace all came forward to greet him respectfully. Text 53. Ya evam Krishna Vijayam Shankare Nacha Samyugam Samsmarit Pratarutaya Natasyasyat Prajajaya Parajaya. Whoever rises early in the morning and remembers Lord Krishna's victory in his battle with Lord Shiva will never experience defeat. Thus end the purports of the humble servants of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, to the 10th canto, 63rd chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Krishna Fights with Banasura. So this section of the Bhagavatam is telling us of different relationship. It's the Dwarka pastimes, but then more specifically, these Dwarka pastimes deal with Krishna's family. So basically, chapters 53 through to 64, it's Krishna's marriages to Rukmini, and 8 other principal queens, including Rohini, who represents the 16,100. So their stories are all told, some in more detail, some more short. Rukmini's story is told in detail over a few chapters. Then we get the story of her son, Pradyumna, and how he's been kidnapped. And then we learn about his marriages to other princesses, including initially it's Jambavati and the daughter of Satyajit, Satyabhama, and then others get told in a more brief form. Nagnajiti and Bhadra and Satya and so on. And then finally, it's the 16,100 princesses that are kidnapped, that had been kidnapped by Bhaumasura and kept in captivity. And then when Krishna rescues them, they ask Krishna to marry them, and he very kindly, full of his kindness, he takes them all as his wives. And why do I emphasize his kindness here is that when Ravana kidnapped Sita and kept her not even in his palace, in the Ashokavan, Ram was hesitant to take her back. He made her prove herself by fire to prove her purity, and then later ended up banishing her. But these 16,100 had been kidnapped by Narakasura, princesses kidnapped from across the universe. And who would take them back? Who would marry them? What would be their position? And they asked Krishna to accept them as his wives, and he did. You see his kindness, you see his mercy. And so these chapters are describing Krishna's family. And then Aniruddha here, he is the grandson. So Krishna, he has 16,108 queens. Each of them has 10 sons. And then there are grandsons, but there's a spotlight given to Pradyumna. He's the son of Krishna and Rukmini. And then it's Aniruddha, as from all the grandsons, then Aniruddha's story is told. And he is the son of Pradyumna and Rukmavati. And so we've got to hear his story. The story of this marriage in detail here. It's a wonderful story for many different reasons. There's a lot that happens here. One is that that Shiva has to come and get involved to defend the city, because much earlier he had made a promise to Banasura that he would be the guardian of his city and defend his city from any attack. And so when Usha was brought to Somitapur, this is the capital of Banasura, it's there in northeast India. So that's an interesting part of India. Narakasura's place is also near to there. It's Bhutan, Assam. So there's a lot of mystical kind of black magic. There's the famous Ambika temple there. So the Kamakya temple, sorry. When Krishna's sister is taken by Kamsa and dashed to the ground, and she flies into the sky. And then Prabhupada's purport, he says that she went to Kamakya. She's worshipped there in Kamakya. That's that area. Banasura, Narakasura, Kamakya. It's all that part of northeast India. It's a kind of a mystic yoga, mystic black magic kind of area. And you see how Narakasura had his city defended by all kinds of black magic and robots and wire fences and And so, yeah, that's that part of India where Banasura has his city, and then Krishna goes with the Yadava armies to attack, and then that creates this nice battle between Krishna and Shiva. Like, why are they going to do battle? Vaishnavanam yatha Shambhu. Shiva is the greatest devotee of Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam tells us. So they're not going to do battle with each other. But there is this nice, turn of fate where in Vedic culture, people, they'll always keep their word. Lord Shiva's given his word that he will defend Banasura's city. And so there's this arrangement where Aniruddha gets captive there, kept as a prisoner. And so Krishna has to go to rescue him. And this creates this confrontation between Shiva and Krishna. And why is it wonderful? Because they are both great. They are both so powerful. And so when two great and powerful personalities come together to do battle, then yeah, there's something wonderful that happens. And so they face off and they're firing different weapons, countering their weapons with each other. We know about firearms in the West, but in the Vedic arsenal, they have water weapons and wind weapons and earth weapons, and each counteracts the other. You know the science of which element will counteract the other. And so there's all of that goes on. But eventually, Krishna decides that I don't want to fight my devotee Lord Shiva anymore in this way. And so he releases what type of weapon? Yoni. Shiva becomes very tired and he can't fight because he just has to yawn. And so then Krishna can turn his attention to Banasura. Now, what's interesting is in the Shiva Purana, you get a different version of this. I mean, it's the same story, but in the Bhagavata Purana, then it's establishing Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I haven't read the Shiva Purana, but I'm told that in the Shiva Purana, the same story appears, but it's going to be glorifying Lord Shiva. And so it says that he fought with Krishna, and then at some point he just got bored and started yawning. It's like, come on, what else do you have? And so he yawned. But in the Bhagavatam, we know why he yawned. It was not that he was bored. It was Krishna fired a yawning astra so that he could then turn his attention to Manasura, whom he chastised severely. And then Manasura's mother came to the rescue by appearing naked on the battlefield. So Krishna averted his vision, turned away, and Manasura could escape and then regroup. And then Shiva offered many, he regrouped, he came back with his weapons again. Krishna started just cutting off his many arms and was about to kill him. And then Shiva prayed for Banasura's life. So that's how he could protect him. He couldn't protect him anymore physically because Rake Krishna Mareke, Mare Krishna Rakeke. Very famously, there's a description how when Ram was fighting Ravan, and Parvati asked Parvati asked Lord Shiva, your devotee Ravana is about to be killed by Ram. Will you not protect him? And so I don't know that I doubt that it is there in the Ramayana, but there is a famous kind of saying around that the response is, if Krishna wants to kill someone, who can protect them? And if Krishna wants to protect them, who can kill them? Rake Krishna Mareke, Mare Krishna Rakeke. And so Shiva, he acknowledged it wasn't possible for him to protect Ravan against Ram if Ram has decided to kill him. And so here, to protect his Banasura, Lord Shiva stops fighting and goes with humble prayers And the prayers are very wonderful. He glorifies Krishna. So when we study the prayers of the in the Bhagavatam, I've analyzed them. And when we study the prayers in the Bhagavatam, we find they have a certain pattern. And I came upon this when I was studying the prayers of Akrura. And why? Because Akrura, from the 9 processes of bhakti, who is the exemplar of prayer? Akrura. So I thought, let me pay attention to Akrura's prayer. What is he saying? What is he doing here? And then I thought, let me compare Akrura's prayer with other prayers in the Bhagavatam. For example, Shiva's prayer here for Banasura's life, or Brahma's prayer after he steals the boys and the calves, or Indra's prayers after he tries to inundate Vrindavan, or there's so many prayers throughout the Bhagavatam. Kunti's prayers, Prahlad Maharaja's prayers to pacify Narasimhadev. And what I found is that the prayers all have a similar pattern. They make similar points. And this is interesting to observe. How they pray is by glorifying. They glorify the Lord. Generally, they'll say, it's not possible to describe your glory because they are infinite. But still, we will offer some glorification because when we glorify you, the world becomes purified and everything becomes auspicious. So we will say something, although we are unable to fully justify your glory with words. You are undescribable. Ananta can never complete his glorification of you. And then they'll describe him as the source of the worlds. They'll say how the worlds have come from your lotus or from your glance. You activated material nature, and then you entered the universes, and from your lotus, Brahma was born. So they'll talk about Krishna as the source of the worlds. Then they'll describe him as present everywhere throughout the worlds. They'll say how the sun is your eyes, the moon is your mind, the wind is your breathing, or the air is your... And they'll describe the universe like the Virat Rupa in relation to Krishna. The fourth thing they'll do is they will say, you are present everywhere, but you also appear personally as different avatars to protect the world and to establish dharma, to protect your devotees. And like Akrura, because his go into a lot more detail, that's I think why he's the exemplar. He'll say, you appeared as Narasimha and destroyed Hiranyakashipu. You appeared as Varaha and destroyed Hiranyaksha. You appeared as Matsya and rescued the Satyavrata and the sages and preserved the Veda. So they'll go through and describe different appearances. And then they will, so you are present in the heart, but you also appear as these different avatars. And then they'll say, and now you are here again, or now I see you. So they'll bring it from the creator to the Lord who's present throughout the universe, to the Lord present in the heart and appearing as avatars, to then, here you are. You have appeared again, or you have appeared before me in my meditation, or you have appeared in your name, or something. They'll bring it to this moment, and then they will talk about how despite my lack of qualification, or despite my attachment to the material nature, or they will talk about themselves, and they will make a request. And so Shiva, he brings it to this moment. He says, please don't kill Banasura. Please. And then Krishna's reply, we're getting today. Krishna's reply to Lord Shiva's prayer. He says, no, I won't kill him because I gave a promise to Prahlad that I wouldn't kill his descendants. So he's protected. He's under my charge. That promise holds. And so don't worry. For Banasura, I've just punished him. I've removed his many thousands of arms. Now he has just 4. and he will be your attendant, and he will be blessed. There will be auspiciousness for him. And I've mentioned in a previous class that later, like in the Angels, what counteracts the yawning weapon? A good one. You don't need to counter their yawning. So it seems that at least in Shiva's case, there was no counteract. He stopped fighting. And so, yeah, it's a very, very effective. And so, yeah, back to the point here. So Banasura, he has been blessed. And then we see later on, elsewhere in the Bhagavatam, 2 places I found, Banasura gets counted as Krishna's devotee. In the 11th canto, Krishna tells Uddhava, my devotees, they appear among the plants and the animals and the demons and the brahmanas and kshatriyas and vaishyas and sudras. They appear among all different forms, species, humans, demons, Gandharvas, demigods, and he gives names. And so for the demons, he mentions specifically Banasura. And so Banasura is blessed by this encounter with Krishna. He's blessed because we can think, I gave Prahlad Maharaj my word, but he's also blessed, we can say, because of Lord Shiva's protection. Shiva has prayed, and on Banasura's behalf, and then Banasura has come and surrendered to Krishna as well. And so that's very important. Very, very important for us to understand. How do we get Krishna's mercy? By the grace of devotees. And here's another example. This demon, Banasura, he's kidnapped Krishna's grandson. He's held him a captive prisoner. And he's there fighting a war against Krishna. But then he surrenders and Krishna forgives him. But the process for him to arrive at this place of surrender, unlike so many other demons that Krishna kills in the Bhagavatam, Kamsa, Shalva, Shishupal, and so on and so forth, is that he, Banasura, got the mercy of Vaishnavas. He got the mercy of Prahlad Maharaj. He got the mercy of Lord Shiva. In the Damodar Lila pastime, one of the things that Krishna does there is pull down those 2 Arjun trees. And so he's tied to the grinding mortar. Sukadev Goswami describes, he's tied up to that grinding mortar. And he looks across the courtyard and he sees those 2 trees. And he thinks, those 2, Manigriva and Nalakuvera, sons of Kuvera, basically playboys. They have no spiritual, they've shown no spiritual inclination, and they haven't shown any kind of interest, devotion. But Krishna looks at those 2 and he says, I have nothing to do with them. You can read Sukadev Goswami, he reveals Krishna's thoughts. Krishna thinks, I have nothing to do with those 2. But my devotee, Narada Muni, said I would deliver them. And so I will. And so baby Krishna crawls across that courtyard. He's still a toddler. Crawls across it with the grinding mortar behind him. He wedges the grinding mortar between those 2 trees, pulls himself through and causes those trees to tumble down. And then those 2 Gandharvas, what are they? They are sons of Kuvera. So anyway, celestial beings, let us say. Those 2 celestial beings emerge from the trees, circumambulate Krishna, offer some prayers. They acknowledge that Narada Muni's curse was in fact a blessing, that they've been purified, that they've learned their lessons. Interestingly, they don't ask for bhakti. They're meeting Krishna face to face. They don't say, dear lords, let us serve you eternally. Maybe they have some more time to go. but it's by Narada Muni's mercy that they have that association with Krishna, that they're brought back on the path. And here we see also with Banasura, Krishna saying, I gave Prahlad Maharaj my word. Lord Shiva has also prayed. So Krishna is responding here to Lord Shiva. He's telling Lord Shiva, this is the deal basically for Banasura going forward. He won't be killed. He'll have 4 arms. He'll be immune from old age and death. He will serve as one of your principal attendants. He'll have nothing to fear. And then with those blessings, then Banasura comes and offers his obeisances. He surrenders to Krishna. And then he does nice service. He arranges for Usha and Aniruddha to be brought together on a bridal chariot, and he blesses their union. So this is Aniruddha's second marriage described in the Bhagavatam. The other marriage is to one of Rukmi's, I think it's Rukmi's granddaughter that he marries. That wedding is also quite eventful, because during the wedding, there is a chess match between Rukmi and Balaram. And Balaram wins, but Rukmi, he's a cheater. It's basically fraud, because they're wagering gold coins, so it's like very high stakes. And Rukmi, he like calls out, he says, you lost, I won. And all the other kings, they applaud Rukmi. But he lost. He's cheating. And this happens a few times, and Rukmi's saying things like, Balaram, you leave the chess to us kings, you go and herd your cows. So like he's saying really nasty things to, and then Balaram wins again, and he says, I won, Rukmi, I won, you lost, these guys, and he takes like the gold coins. And so eventually Balaram takes his club and bonks him on the head. It's fraud, basically, what Rukmi is doing. And so Rukmi dies, the one that Balaram pleaded for earlier during when Krishna had taken Rukmini. And Krishna had him captive and he was punishing him. And then Balaram said, Krishna, don't mistreat him. He's your brother-in-law after all. Rukmini's sad, the way you're treating him. And so Krishna's being chastised by Balaram. He releases Rukmi, but then it's Balaram himself who ends up later killing Rukmi. So yeah, that's Aniruddha's other marriage. So 2 marriages described in detail in the Bhagavatam for Aniruddha, and both of them have quite some there's a lot. They're quite eventful. It's more than just a marriage. There's a lot that happens. There's a battle or a war or some kind of intense confrontation here. But what we can take here is this this beautiful point of Banasura's deliverance by the mercy of Prahlad, by the mercy of Shiva, even a demon. That's the significance here. He's a demon. He has been delivered. And this should give us hope, you and I, no matter what our position, where we come from, by the mercy of the devotees, we can be delivered. It's possible. It's available. That mercy is available to us. Krishna's mercy is not exclusive. That's the whole point of the 7th canto of the Bhagavatam, telling us the story of Prahlad Maharaj. It begins with the question, is Krishna partial to the demigods and biased against the demons? And the answer, no. Here's the example, Prahlad Maharaj. When Nrsingadev was angry, Brahma tried to appease him. Lakshmi couldn't approach him. Shiva couldn't approach him. Little Prahlad, the son of a demon, he went forth and Nrsingadev was pacified, showing us that despite age, despite birth, despite situate, like whatever, it doesn't matter. If there is some devotion in the heart, by the mercy of Vaishnavas, we can approach Krishna and receive his grace. So we conclude here. Any reflections, questions, comments? We can open the floor. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Yes, please.
Can be all right? Can they hear on the Zoom?
We can hear you, Adi.
Okay. Yeah, we've heard that with your observation of the procedure for praying, glorification, contrition, thanksgiving, and then supplication.
Right.
They specifically recommend that even in the Christian monastic ACTS. Adoration, contrition, thanksgiving, and supplication.
Okay.
And so in our own life, we have occasion to sometimes pray to Krishna all the time. And I try to be patient and follow that recipe.
Right.
And I have to practically force myself, sort of discipline my mind to say, okay, Lord, you're so wonderful, you're so kind, you're so beautiful, you're so merciful, you're so forgiving, enumerating some of Krishna's amazing attributes.
Yeah.
And do that, and then contrition, like we read Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's, some of his prayers and songs are so painful, and he says, I'm just a fool and a rascal, and I've wasted my life. And it's like, that part is pretty easy to
All right.
with some of our disqualification, and then thanksgiving, which is the step we sometimes forget, and then supplication.
Right. Yeah.
And
Thank you for that.
actually asking for something, so it's a bona fide, observe a bona fide procedure, and it's meant for showing us how to do this
Right. Very nice. Thank you for that.
consciously.
Yeah, Jai, thank you. So I just put it in the chat. Adoration, contrition, thanksgiving, supplication.
And then supplication.
Nice.
Right.
Yeah, thank you. All right, I see a hand here from Jamuna Jaya and then also from Poppy. So we'll start with Jamuna Jaya.
Hare Krishna, Shri Prahlad. Thank you for class. I'm just always in awe when you show up and it's not the verses you think it is, and you're able to give a full class. That shows your scholarship, and thank you. But one of the things I'm always struck by, particularly again in this past time when Lord Shiva does those prayers, and Lord Shiva's faith always amazes me, that because he always understands that Krishna is behind everything, that Krishna will make everything all good. Lord Shiva's, his being the great devotee, I think, is always exemplified by the amount of faith through which he acts. He's like, I can, he's easily pleased, so he grants people things all the time, which used to confuse me. But then I understand that he understands that because Krishna's behind it, it will all be well. And I feel like this was just another example of his great faith in Krishna's great power, and that Krishna is everything. So
yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, that's a really nice observation. So Lord Shiva, you're saying sometimes his way of dealing, that Asutosh, easily pleased, easily displeased, can be a bit confusing. In the seventh canto, Nrsingadev growls at Brahma when Brahma comes forward after Nrsingadev's been pacified, and then Prahlad's to be coronated, and Nrsingadev tells him, you need to coronate Prahlad, and he says, and Brahma, don't give benedictions to the demons anymore. Like he tells them quite strongly, like, what are you doing? You've created so much trouble giving this benedictions to the demons. And but I like your point, Jamuna Jaya, that behind it is also a faith that Krishna will arrange everything to be auspicious and perfect. So whatever is going on, it's like the cowherd boys when they go into the mouth of Aghasura. They're looking at Aghasura and they're talking among themselves. Is this a cave? Are those, or is it that, this wide, what appears to be a cave is in fact a snake? Like if you look closely, it could be a snake, and those stalactites, they could be teeth. And those two fires that we see there burning in the cave, they could be eyes. And so they're having this conversation among themselves, and they says, well, whatever it is, Krishna will save us. And so they, go dance into the mouth of the serpent. And so, yeah, thank you for that reflection on Lord Shiva. Poppy.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you so much for the wonderful class. I really appreciated when you reminded about the process of the steps or process of praying. It's all starts with glorifying, Krishna.
Yeah.
I just reflecting how I used to pray is knock on Krishna's door when I needed something. I was like, Krishna, okay, I need this. Bye. And now it's just like, it's the process of praying is taking time, being attentive to know who I am asking help for. That means taking the time to know their personality. So I found that to be very something that personally resonated with me. And yeah, that's my reflection for today. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. It's very powerful. And what I found, the second canto of the Bhagavatam basically follows the same pattern in a way. The first chapter describes Krishna as Virat, present throughout his creation. The second chapter describes Krishna as present in the heart, as Paramatma. And then the chapters after that describe Krishna as Avatari, or Krishna's avatars. His appearances as the Purusha, like the creator, and then his different Leela avatars. And then finally, then we get Brahma seeing Krishna and offering prayers or receiving guidance and prayer. So it's interesting, this Bhagavatam formula, like the points that it makes and how consistent it is. And so thank you for reflecting that, Poppy, and also just that appreciation that prayer means to glorify as well, not just to ask for something. Krishna, I'm really down. I'm really struggling. Help me. I guess that's a good starting point. But to glorify Krishna, you are so wonderful, you are beautiful, you are kind, you are merciful, and then to make a request. I am struggling, I'm in difficulty, please help me. That's more complete. Yeah, thanks for that. Okay, so I think the conch shell is about to be blown here for Radha Muralidhara's Darshan Arti. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanandi, Haribol.
Go to speak of our spiritual master, of the only way by which we can attain pure devotional service. I want to so to speak.
Bow us down. Yeah, there. Okay, cool. Hare Krishna. Okay, welcome to Afterglow. Anyone wants to reflect anything? Poppy, thank you very much. Such a wonderful reflection. Steady Shaligram. Hare Krishna, good to see you. I don't see any volunteers, so I'll just share something. I had a question. Maybe we can all talk about it. Why is Krishna keeping us in the illusion? After we declare that Krishna, we're yours, I'm surrendering. Why does he keep torturing us in this material world after we declare Krishna, I'm yours? Why can't he just snap his fingers and make us pure devotees? Why can't he do that? I've already said Krishna, I'm yours about 25 times. Why am I still here? Why am I still full of lust and other things? Why is that? Any thoughts? We can all meditate about that, and maybe we can ask an exalted soul, maybe a senior devotee, next time we give class. But that's been on my mind lately. Krishna, why? Why do I go back and forth all the time? Why am I still looking at the things that I'm looking? Why do I
Maybe
still have
that
hope?
means you're not fully surrendered.
Yeah, exactly. But I already said, Krishna, I'm yours, and I got initiated, and I take prasadam. I'm trying to keep my vows as best I can. But, it's also kind of fun, because it's not that I'm completely in oblivion. I'm with the devotees, so that's fun. I can go on like that. There's no problem, really. If there is devotees association, service to do, books to read, it's a good deal, overall. It's a wonderful deal. I'm with the devotees. I think that how I would answer. Okay, Neha says, because we're not purified enough. Yes, Neha, yeah. And it's not a cheap thing. Siham.
So maybe because there are some attachments, and sometimes we say we're surrendered with the lips, but deep down, we're not ready to surrender. I think it's just like a matter of being honest with oneself. Are we really surrendered, or are we still working on it?
Yeah, work in progress. Yes, yeah, those are not cheap things. This is not an esoteric magic circus where you pay a little something and then you get your karma cleansed or whatever. This is a lifetime project. And we're striving for liberation for spiritual world, but in one way we've already attained it. As long as we're following our vows and stick to the devotees, we're kind of in spiritual world, right? Sachinandan Swami Maharaj says, we are divided souls, we're split. One devotee said, very funny thing once. He said, I'm very old, I'm in my 70s. One foot is on the banana peel, and my other foot is in jail, in grave. He said, I'm old, Prabhuji. One foot on the banana peel, the other one in grave. That's my situation. Who's speaking? Somebody's relating to that. That's good.
I wanted to reflect on that. It's sometimes, my ego comes in and I'm like, oh, I can dance, I can sing, I can do home puja, I'm there. And then comes a family member who pisses me off, and then comes part of me. I'm like, uh-oh, I'm not there. Here, more purification to do. And I think that's what Krishna does. It's like he will put a situation. He's like, okay, you think you're ready, you're surrendered, let me see. And that's what Krishna does. And it's like you said, it's a lifetime. It's not just, I say it and I go to temple and that's it. I think yesterday I shared something about Bhakti Tirtha Swami saying, you find out, just paraphrasing, is you can test your level of bhakti or advancement, just how you interact with people in general. So yeah, there's so much purification to do in heart. I sometimes even I'm scared because I'm attached, because I feel like I'll miss out something. If I fully go there, I'll miss out something that life has to offer. And yeah, so that, I guess, this attachment kind of keeps me half here, half there, 10% there. And I can say it, Krishna, I'm yours, but it's like, it's my behaviors and my words are aligning. Yeah. Thank you for the question.
Thank you, Prabhu. Yeah, Krishna is keeping us humble. As soon as we think that we've got it, Krishna immediately shows us. There's a lot of work to do. Thank you, Prabhu. Wonderful reflection. Siam.
I think it was easy to answer the question coming from you, but I feel like I have the same questions that I need to ask myself too. So I think we're all in the same boat to a certain extent, to different degrees, but thank you for bringing that up, because I think it made a lot of us, if not all of us, really reflect on our own spiritual journey. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you, Siam. It's so fun to be on the boat with all of you. And Srila Prabhupada is our captain. Somebody's calling. Let me send them to voicemail. Okay, I'm back. All right, we can take one final reflection and then it's...
Yes.
Hello?
Go ahead. Dana Krishna Radharani, go ahead. You're unmuted.
I kind of struggle with this as well. And I heard someone say before, we're still in a material body and we're still in the material world and we're still surrounded by the gunas. And so, yes, we have to work super hard to surrender. It's not like we can use it as an excuse, but we also have to look at our circumstances and give ourselves some grace and know that that's why they call this a spiritual practice, because it's not going to just be a one and done in this material world, in our material body, because we still have to work with that. And it's not like we get all this intellect and all this knowledge and then bam, we're out of this, we float out of our bodies, and out of this world. So that's what I have always tried to remember, that like I'm doing the best I can, but I still have all this stuff that I'm surrounded with, my material body, the gunas, the material world. And I put a verse in the chat that I read last night. it kind of made me really think about this and kind of help with my questions on this, where it just talks about how Krishna's even contradictory, at times in his Leelas. It's even confusing because it's like you're born and unborn, you're strong and brave, and then you're fearful, and then, and I don't know if that helps anybody else to feel like, like Krishna's got us and he gets it and he loves us. And not that I fully get this and that I fully got it and I don't struggle the same as you, but maybe just offering this is what I heard, and maybe it can comfort someone else as well. That's all. Sorry.
Thank you, Dana. Yeah, it's very important to remain balanced and acknowledge our needs and try to fulfill them, preferably in the Krishna conscious way. It's possible. We have everything, all the aspects of needs. They can be fulfilled in bhakti. That's the greatest gift Srila Prabhupada gave us. He gave us culture to apply ourselves in a profound and uplifting way. Yeah, we have needs, and those needs need to be looked at. Yeah, because if you don't, it's like when you pull on your underwear, and it's gonna slap you back in your rear hard. So don't do that. Stay balanced. Seek guidance of senior devotees around you, and collectively, everything can be achieved. Like Krishna Radharani said, Krishna can do the work. We don't need to beat us. It's not about us. Me, I'm not advanced, I'm not good enough. It's not that. It's also Krishna's mercy, Krishna's grace. Srila Prabhupada said, you have no somebody was complaining to Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, I'm so unqualified, I have no qualification. Srila Prabhupada said, yes, I have created your qualification. I gave you the qualification. So yeah, it's not necessarily about us entirely. We should not forget that we have an entire sampradaya. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Srila Prabhupada, such stalwart devotees are on our side. We'll be okay. This gives us hope. Sam?
Just wanted to maybe express my appreciation for the state of confusion. So confusion has always been a great place. Well, a great place in a sense that I am not so sure about my journey, which makes me ask questions and maybe try to, listen, be more attentive to spiritual, topics. And I think confusion was the trigger for the Bhagavad Gita to be spoken by Krishna. So Arjuna was confused. So when I am in a state of confusion, I am sort of reassured to remember that confusion has led to Bhagavad Gita. So I don't know if that's helpful, but confusion has been a great tool for me to, to request more guidance. Yeah, thanks.
That was super helpful, Sam. You was Shastrik and bona fide. Thank you. You backed it up by Shastra. That's first class reflection. Thank you. Venisha, let's see if you can top Sihan. It's a joke, Venisha.
Let's see if I can come off mute first. I know, I just wanted to recommend that everybody look at the quote that Dana Kaylee put in the chat. I think it's really lovely. And also, not to put her on the spot, but I think Shaligram Dasi was going to say something earlier. Did you come off mute, Shaligram Dasi? I thought you were going to say something earlier.
Yes, Hare Krishna. Yes, it was actually, he alluded to it about Bhaktivinoda, etc. The 6 Goswamis, they never felt like they had Krishna. They were always seeking Krishna. It's ever increasing. So even if we feel like we get an understanding, then Krishna, leaps forward and says, come, and then we just strive again to try to recognize Krishna as the absolute truth. And then he says, okay. And then he leaps forward and then again, so it's an ever increasing endeavor.
Thank you. Yeah, the devotee never thinks, where's my Krishna Prema? Where is it?
That's right.
10, 16 rounds. Where's my Krishna Prema? Thank you, Venisha. Thank you very much.
Wonderful.
Okay, we see sage and sky. Do we see, is that sage or sky? Sky. I think I read the lips right. Hare Krishna, Hare Rama. Beautiful smile. Great, great. All right. Okay, our dear Bhakti kayakers, thank you very much for your association. Don't jump off the boat. If you fall, if you fall off the wagon or off the boat, we'll pull you back in. All right, we'll give you a whistle. I'm in Maya. Pick me up. All right. Yeah, it's very important to figure out our life in such a way that there's always a devotee in proximity where we can reach out to them. It's our job to figure that out. Okay. Have a wonderful Sunday. Go to the temple, dance, chant, sweat for Krishna, then shower for Krishna, come to the morning program. It's eternal. That's Srila Prabhupada's gift. And we appreciate, we value, we treasure your association. Hare Krishna, Hare